Plan on flying? It's time to upgrade to a Real ID. Because in order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a Real ID, or you'll need another acceptable form of identification. So don't wait. Find out how to get your Real ID at tsa.gov/RealID. That's tsa.gov/RealID, or visit your local DMV. And then you'll be cleared for takeoff.
Here it is, another episode of the Infinite Banter podcast. What is happening? My name is Mark Jolliffe, also known as DJ Soundwave. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done one of these things, so sorry to have left you waiting in a hiatus for another one of these episodes. Just had a lot of things I was doing between the last one and this one. Had my birthday come, took a trip to Seattle, which I'll talk about later in the episode. Got sick. And then went to a convention that'll be featured in this episode here, the Nightmare Weekend Chicago GalaxyCon convention just wrapped up here in the Chicagoland area this past weekend, so I want to talk about that and bring you an interview I did with Sandy Johnson, who many of you know played Judith Myers in the original Halloween movie from 1978. So we're going to talk to her on site at the convention. I'll bring you that audio coming up shortly. Also want to talk about my experience going to Nightmare Weekend Chicago. First time I've ever been to one of these, and it's been a while since I've been to a horror-themed convention. I used to go to the Days of the Dead conventions a lot. Haven't been to that one in a while, so it's kind of cool to go to something that's not comic booky. You know, it's not just about Marvel and DC and such. So really cool to check it out. I want to talk about it throughout the episode here. And like I said, bring you that interview I did with Sandy Johnson coming up here shortly. But before we go forward, we always go back. Let's go back. Way back, apparently, a couple weeks ago, when my man DJ Real One was on here, and we had a special Infinite Torture episode where for those who don't know, that's when I watch a movie that I've never seen before, and I have a pretty good idea that it's not going to be very good. So that's why it's called Torture. But for whatever reason, I decide I'm going to do it. So I'm going to watch it and review it and talk about it. And once in a while, I'll bring somebody in as like a co-torture pilot. And when we watched Rappin' from 1985, which is still on Tubi. They're tricking me. When I first watched it, I had like this notification that I had a couple days to watch it, so I rushed to watch it. And then I saw it's back on there. I know what you're doing, Tubi. You're trying to keep me there, and it's working. Cut it out. Or keep doing what you're doing, because I keep coming back. So, yeah, we talked about that movie. So here's a clip from the last episode where my guy DJ Real One sitting in for the torture of watching Rappin' from 1985 here on the Infinite Banter podcast. Flashback.
Going back to the dance battle scene with the greasers, then he goes on to say, bathroom fool.
Yeah, dude, that bathroom scene. What the fuck is that?
Bathroom fool. Like, who calls someone out and says bathroom fool? Like,
you didn't do that back then?
No.
Back in like
Why
the
did
era?
you say that?
When you were
fool.
so Real, when you're out, DJing at a club or something, you may have had a beef with like another DJ or something. You didn't say bathroom fool, and then go meet in the bath. Which I was confused because they were already in a bathroom. So were they going to another bathroom? Like, I don't understand. Were they going to the girls' bathroom or the men's? Where were they going?
Oh my god, that was just brutal, man. I actually had to write down in my notes, haha, just so I remember how funny it was, because I was literally laughing out loud.
Yeah, I just wrote bathroom scene because I didn't really know. I didn't know what to make of any of that.
and then I also wrote down: is this a comedy? Like, is this a comedy or drama?
Well, it is.
What is this? Yeah.
And I also wrote down it's the first gender-neutral bathroom because the girl was in there too. So I don't know. Like I just said, I don't know if it's the men's bathroom or the women's bathroom. Maybe they were up on. The only thing they were progressive about was the bathrooms.
The bathrooms, yeah. She was all in the bathroom that he came in. I don't know what's going on.
My man was taking a shit and, Rapid Hood, like, told him to get out of there or something. I don't know what he was doing. And they're arguing about this girl. So if you've not had a chance to check out that episode, I definitely, encourage you to go back and check it out, where me and DJ Real One break down the movie Rappin' from 1985. Is it a hidden gem? Is it one of those movies that we should be talking about? Or one that is what I basically said it is? It's torturous to watch. It does not age well whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it came out in 85. And even for 1985, it felt dated. So you want to hear more in-depth talking about that, go check out the movie. And definitely go check it out on Tubi so you know what we're talking about, because it's probably a movie you've never heard of. So why would you watch it? You want to just hear us rag on something for an hour? You go ahead and listen to it. But probably would help if you watch the bad movie and then hear the awful review about it. So go back and check out that episode and all episodes of the Infinite Banter podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the popular places that podcasts are at. We are there. Spreaker is the main place I post these at. Follow the show on social media at Infinite Banter Podcast. Rate and review the show on all platforms. I definitely appreciate everybody who does that. That's a big help when that does occur. It helps make the show grow a little bit. Hit that the algorithm thing, right? I think the more people watch and rate it, it pushes it up in that algorithm. So put it up there. Do that thing. No doubt. But also on Spotify, if you go on the page there, we have some poll questions. There's a playlist from songs from artists that have been on the show in the past. So definitely check it out there. And our sponsor, super7.com/Infinite Banter Podcast. Reaction toys are there. They have figures based on horror films and music and G.I. Joe, Transformers, all the stuff I grew up with. Those old Kenner Hasbro toys, the 3.5 figures, they have them there. Go to that link, super7.com/Infinite Banter Podcast. We appreciate everybody who goes to that link and makes a purchase. You will not regret it. They have gotten lots of my money over the years. And I don't know. I'm running out of room for these things. But they keep coming out with new ones, so I'll keep coming back. So let's get into the show. We've got Sandy Johnson, who I interviewed on site at Nightmare Weekend Chicago, talking about Halloween and her start getting into that movie. Really cool talking with her. I also want to talk about my trip to Seattle, mention some things about that, some things about getting old that I've gotten, like literal things I've gotten in the mail to prove that I'm older than I was before I did the last episode. And because this is a kind of a horror con episode here, I want to rank my 5 favorite Halloween movies. Now, I don't mean Halloween as in the theme. I mean Halloween, the franchise, Michael Myers. Since I interviewed Sandy, who's from that movie, I kind of figured maybe I should do something with Halloween. So I wrote down my 5 favorite. Everybody knows I'm a Jason head. That's my favorite, horror icon. But it's hard to deny how great the Halloween franchise is, and there would be no Jason without Michael Myers. So we'll do that at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. But let's get into it. Sandy Johnson coming up. But before we do anything, this show never begins until the one and only, the King from Queens, DMC, gets on. He says this, and now it's official.
Yo, what's up? This is me, DMC, the K-I-N-G, the greatest MC in history. And right now, you're listening to Infinite Banter, because we will banter on forever, because this is the only place for all of y'all to ever be. I be Infinite Banter.
So let me set up this interview I did on site at Nightmare Weekend Chicago, part of GalaxyCon, and check out all their conventions and such coming to a city near you at galaxycon.com. Really great convention. Just like some of the other ones, they make the rounds throughout the country, visit different cities, and the Nightmare Con was definitely a cool added bonus to the usual GalaxyCon conventions that they do. So definitely go check them out, galaxycon.com. But when I was able to go and I got my press pass, I was like, who can I talk to there? And Sandy Johnson just jumped out to me. I'm a big fan of the first Halloween movie, and I figured she would be really cool to talk to. She plays the character that sets off the movie, so I thought it would be really cool to talk to her and see how she's feeling about doing conventions and stuff. So here we go. My on-site interview with Sandy Johnson, who played Judith Myers in the original 1978 Halloween movie done by John Carpenter, here on the Infinite Banter Podcast. I'm here at Nightmare Weekend Chicago for the Infinite Banter Podcast, and I had the pleasure of standing next to Sandy Johnson, who many of you know as Judith Myers from the original 1978 Halloween. How are you doing, Sandy?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Can you just put into words, how many years it's been since that movie came out, and here you are in 2025, and people are bothering you just to say hi, or like a guy before, just asking you about the movies that you're in and Halloween, the first 1978 release. Just the idea of people still caring about this film and your legacy and part of it.
Right. Well, it just goes to show what a great director John Carpenter was. With the help of Deborah Hill, they did a masterpiece with their lighting and their music and the story. All of it just all came together beautifully, and it's definitely withstood the time.
Yeah, and your scene is so memorable because it really sets up the whole movie. I mean, basically, Michael comes in and talk about just doing that. Were you apprehensive because obviously you're not fully dressed, and I don't know if that's something that I'm sure you're aware of it beforehand, but how does that even, the preparation for that, goes into that? Is John like, hey, this is how you're going to do it? And you're just like, yeah, I'm game, I can do it? Or how was that?
Yeah, well, of course I knew ahead of time.
Right.
And I was a Playmate centerfold, so I was used to being in front of the camera without clothing. So it wasn't bad. It was a very professional set, so I never, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was a little scary because it was dark and upstairs, and
right.
and I was going to be murdered. So there might have been some apprehension on that part
right.
of it.
Another thing that's iconic about that movie is the tombstone, the Judith Myers tombstone, which is almost a character in the movie. And how is your, connection? Have you ever had to sign a tombstone? Have you taken pictures with that tombstone or anything like that? Or?
Oh yeah, I have signed hundreds of them. And I've had people send them to me through my website to sign.
That's awesome.
And it's pretty cool that's her symbol, sort of, that appears in multiples of the film.
And going back to that scene, I mean, the way it's shot too, it's from the mask point of view. So you only see it's not a full showing of yourself. Was that something when you finally saw the final project and when it was all done, was it kind of cool to see it that way?
It was. And then I think last year, I actually saw the original footage before they applied the mask that I had not seen before. And that was very cool to see the whole room and everything. It was pretty cool.
Oh, God, I just got to take it to another level. But obviously the mask really is what sets up the whole movie and the creepiness and the aura of Michael Myers. And I was looking up on IMDb, so you were in Holy Grail, which I got to watch. I haven't watched that movie.
I wasn't in it.
That's wrong. IMDb has it wrong.
Yes.
All right, we'll scratch that. Never mind.
They've had me in so many different movies that I was not in.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're getting residuals for it, then it's fine.
But I wish I were. Maybe I need to contact them.
Oh, geez, there you go. Well, just to wrap it up here, thanks for your time. Just kind of talk about the convention and doing conventions. How is that when you get to do the circuit and go to different cities and meet all different fans from, horror and other things that you've done?
Right. I love conventions. It's my favorite time of year when they start up, and they go for me usually up through Halloween, of course. And it's just exciting to see the fans. GalaxyCon Nightmare is a new one for this area, but they're growing rapidly throughout the U.S. And I've done about 4 for them so far, and they've all been really good, and I know that they're going to grow a bunch because they do everything right.
That's awesome. And anything you want to promote? Is there a website people could find you and keep up with you, like an Instagram, anything like that?
Yeah, they can go to my website. It is unicornsandyj.com, and on there I have a list of all my upcoming cons. I have a list of all my current films. They can buy collectibles. They can send in things to be autographed. It's just all kinds of things that are available for them.
That's great. That's Sandy Johnson. Make sure you follow her online. Check her out on her website. And just a pleasure having you on the podcast here. Really an honor talking to you.
Of course, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey there, this is Ira Hayden, the Wizard Master from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, and you are listening to the Infinite Banter Podcast. And remember, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Really cool talking with Sandy, and she couldn't have been more nice, giving me her time to talk about Halloween and her start in that film and everything. And, full disclosure, I had no idea she wasn't in Holy Grail. I almost wanted to take it out of there because I felt like it made me look bad for thinking she was in a movie that she wasn't in. But when you Google her and it shows all her movies, it pops up, and she even acknowledged that, they've gotten it wrong. These are not movies that she's in sometimes that are listed. So you know what? It's funny. It was, kind of what happens is it takes away 2 of my questions. because I'm thinking, oh, she's in Holy Grail. It's one of my favorite comedies. I got to ask her about it. Oh, I wasn't in that movie. Oh, damn. Oh, there goes two of the questions I was going to ask. It's throw those in the garbage. I thought it was funny that she said that she's been listed as being in these movies that she had no business being listed as an actor in. And it just cracked me up that she's aware of it. So I didn't feel so bad bringing it up. Yeah, I didn't make it, say that on Google. But just as a side note, Steel Magnolias was also listed as a movie she's done. I have a feeling she wasn't in that either. Now, I've never seen that movie, but I wasn't going to ask that one after striking out on the Holy Grail question. So I was like, you know what? They're going to leave that one alone. I do know for a fact that she was in Gas Pump Girls, 1979, because she had the DVD on her table. So I can definitely, check mark that. She's in that movie. Now, I've never seen it, and I looked it up here before I started recording this. I think I want to see it. I think I want to watch this thing, because also starring in it is Kirsten Baker. You're like, who's that? Well, you ever seen Friday the 13th Part 2? She's in that movie. A very memorable scene where she gets slingshotted in the butt. Now, Russell Todd is the one who did the slingshot in that movie. He was on this podcast a couple years ago, and he played the character that was trying to get with Kirsten Baker's character. So it all ties in, man. I might have to make Gas Pump Girls for an Infinite Torture coming up soon. I just got to find it. Tubi, I'm looking at you. Is it on there? Pluto TV? I should have probably just bought the DVD from her. I didn't even think of it till right now. So the convention's already over. They're already packed up and gone. She's probably already at home. But make sure you follow Sandy Johnson. She's on Facebook at The Real Sandy Johnson and on Instagram at Unicorn Sandy J. And definitely check out her website, unicornsandyj.com. She's got pictures you can get signed. You can mail in things to her, and she'll sign them. She does podcasts. Maybe down the line, I'll ask her to do something more in-depth. Maybe I'll have her come back on here for like a good half-hour episode, because that was just only 5 minutes there. But yeah, maybe we'll get her to come back on here. But definitely check her out, unicornsandyj.com.
Hi, it's Russell Todd. I want you to check out Infinite Banter. I just did a podcast with Mark, and you'll know me from Friday the 13th Part 2, Chopping Mall, He Knows You're Alone, Another World, the soap opera on NBC, and a few other things. So hope you enjoy it.
So I teased it at the beginning. I wanted to give out my list of my 5 favorite Halloween movies, the Michael Myers franchise. There's a lot of them, just like Jason, just like Freddy, Chucky. I think Leprechaun has a lot. Name Pinhead. Name all your characters in that genre, and they tend to have a lot of sequels. And Halloween has always been one of my favorites, but for whatever reason, I've always been a Jason guy. And then for a while, I was a Freddy guy. But I've always come back to Jason. Jason's my dude. I always, people who listen to this podcast know that. That's why we've had Ty McLaughlin on here, who directed Part 6, and Russell Todd on here from Part 2, and Vicente DeSante from Never Hike Alone came on here. So yeah, a lot of Jason-orientated stuff has been on this podcast. But Michael Myers is the one who birthed all this crap, right? So he's the one. If there's no Michael Myers, you don't have a Jason Voorhees, we probably don't have a Freddy Krueger. So since I went to that convention and talked with Sandy from the original 1978 Halloween release, let me give my 5 favorite Halloween movies. And there's a lot that I don't even want to mention. Like there's the H2O one. What's the one with Busta Rhymes in it? That one might be one of the worst ones I've ever seen in the franchise. And then there's Part 5. That one's revered as probably the worst. I never watched the Rob Zombie ones. Okay, I should say this. I watched part of the first one. I didn't like any of it, so I didn't continue. I turned it off, and I moved on with my life. It will not be a torture thing. I do not want to watch that. I have no interest in it. But there's a lot that are really good, and I want to give them their props here. So let's go from 5 to 1. My 5th favorite Halloween movie would be Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, not the the redone ones from a few years ago. This is the one where Jamie Lee Curtis is in the hospital, and Michael is chasing her throughout the hospital and everything. Some people think of it's kind of corny, and it kind of changed things. They made Jamie Lee Curtis's character related to Michael Myers. I'm not a fan of that story in that. But as a kid, growing up and seeing that movie like on, whatever channel it was on, it just felt cool. I mean, you're in a hospital, you're already hurt, you're already injured, and you're trying to escape this guy who's apparently not dead, and he found you in the hospital, and the whole ending scene with the fire and everything, and Donald Pleasance shows up. He's back again, Michael. That whole thing. I just really like that movie, and I guess I have a lot of nostalgia for it as a kid growing up, seeing like he came back, he didn't die, he didn't he didn't go away. He's still here with a mission to get Laurie. My fourth movie on this list is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. A lot of theme here. These slasher movies, they're always coming back. You think they're gone and they're back again. But in this fourth one, it was kind of cool because it introduced a new character, the little girl who dressed up like the clown, like Michael Myers did, and she's like traumatized by it and she can't talk. So there's a whole new angle with it, and I kind of liked how they're taking the story to another level here. And they were bringing back the franchise, basically, because part 3 was not about Michael Myers. You kind of thought the franchise was dead, but I'm sure they saw the money in the box office that Jason and Freddy were doing, and let's bring back Michael Myers. Let's do this again. So this was kind of the movie that restarted the Michael Myers Halloween franchise again. Third on my list is Halloween 2018. So this is the movie that came out some years ago, obviously, but it was the retelling. It's not a remake. It basically picked up where Halloween 1 left off. So I don't really get into anything that happened in Halloween 2 or 4 or anything like that. Those don't even factor into the storyline. It basically is Michael's back in the insane asylum or whatever it is, and things are triggered to make him come out and be that guy again. And I thought it was a really well done movie. It was taking 40 years after the original one, and Jamie Lee Curtis is brought back, and she just kicks ass in this movie. It's just really cool to see, like, what would her life had been like if there weren't those other movies where she wasn't traumatized with it every year, whereas, like, some years had passed and she kind of moved on, but not really. She really didn't move on. But she was doing her own thing. She had a house that was, like, fortified with booby traps and weapons, and she became just, like, this badass. And I just like the final showdown with her and Michael at the end. Some really cool scenes in that one. I remember going to the theater seeing, I'm like, man, this is how you redo a franchise, as in, like, not a remake, but you rekindle new interest and you breathe new life into it. And I feel like that movie really did that. Number 2 on my list, which might be a controversial pick, because some people really like this movie, like me, and some people don't like it. And it's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Halloween originally wasn't supposed to be a Michael Myers franchise. It was supposed to be different stories every time, but of course they got away from that. And I love part 3. I think it's very underrated. I think it's a classic. And as time has gone on, more people have gravitated towards liking it. I think people were just kind of thrown off, like, well, where's Michael? Where's the doctor? Where's all that? Where's Jamie Lee Curtis? Like, they did something else. And I get it, because if you did that with Friday the 13th, if you made there is a non-Jason movie, but it's just a different guy as Jason. But if you made a Friday the 13th where it's about kids hearing a song on TV and becoming zombies or something, people might have been thrown off by that. So yeah, part 3, Season of the Witch, is my second favorite Halloween movie. I just think it's a really cool movie. If you just watch it as its own, you don't think of Michael Myers at all, and you just let it be its own thing, I think you really appreciate. And that song, that jingle they play in it, is just one of the all-time great horror jingles of all time. I mean, it's classic. And of course, number 1, and I mean, is this a surprise even at all? It's Halloween 1978, the original, the one that kind of started this whole thing, although I'll say Black Christmas was really the beginning of it all, that the view from the killer idea in a slasher film. But Halloween is where it really picked up some momentum. It became a thing, and Friday the 13th is pretty much admitted they ripped it off, and I'm sure Freddy has some connections to that as well, and name all the other ones that came after. This is the one that started. This is the the granddaddy of them all. And it's just a great movie. The soundtrack is great. The score is great. The acting is great. There's nothing about it you could pick apart. And when I had Sandy Johnson on here, and we're talking about it, just the iconic tombstone with her name on it, where he's got it in the bed or whatever. I mean, everything about this movie just really elevated the slasher genre, and we're still talking about it today. And so many other movies tried to do what Halloween did, and it's just amazing. This movie holds up. If you still watch it at all, it'll hold up just as well as it did back then. So that's my rundown there. Number 5 is Halloween 2. 4 is Halloween 4. I didn't do that on purpose, but it worked out that way. Number 3 is Halloween 2018. Number 2 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And number 1 is probably the greatest horror movie of all time. It's right up there, Halloween 1978. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about my trip to Seattle, getting old, and some other stuff here on the Infinite Banter podcast.
Hey, this is Josh Michael of Walking Dead fame. You don't know who I am. You're listening to Infinite Banter.
Time for you to leave, assholes.
That is Kirk Casavedo telling me to get out of here, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. But before I do that, I should probably give a little backstory to that drop that I play all the time. Some of you know this, some of you don't. Back in 2019, similar to Sandy Johnson, I had interviewed some actors on site at a convention called Walker Stalker. Which doesn't exist anymore, but it was a Walking Dead convention. You know, they had actors and actresses from different CW TV shows and movies and such that were kind of connected to the horror genre or just kind of superhero stuff, and it became Fan Fest. So it was like half of it was like, you know, horror stuff, and half of it was like superhero stuff. And Kirk Acevedo was one of those that I, you know, got a chance to talk to for a few minutes, and that line is from when he was on The Walking Dead, when they pull up to the jail, and he's in the tank. And he's telling Rick he's got to go because they want his jail to live in. In that same weekend, I also interviewed Jason Moore, who was on The Punisher. And go watch Daredevil Born Again, by the way. Speaking of Punisher. Yeah, Punisher's in that. Spoiler, I guess. But it was a lot of fun interviewing people on site. And they're always very gracious. And I can't thank Sandy enough for doing what she did, which you heard earlier in the podcast. I do want to give a shout out to Phil Garrett, one of the people I met at Nightmare Weekend Chicago, the GalaxyCon convention. Check him out, galaxycon.com. Now, he is the VP of Cranked Up TV. He'll probably be on an episode coming up here because we talked about him coming on here and maybe doing something. So stay tuned for that on a future episode. But yeah, he's a big part of crankeduptv.com, which is basically a platform where you go on there and there's a lot of independent horror movies on there. And it's ad-free, and it'll take me a while to get through all this stuff. There's a lot on there. He has a lot of newer stuff that's coming out, some older things, and they have different filmmakers that have movies that are on this site. So go check them out, crankeduptv.com. Definitely want to give Phil Garrett a shout-out here, and like I said, he'll probably be on a future episode coming up in the next month or so. But a couple things before I get out of here. So on the last episode, I had teased that I was going to Seattle for my birthday, and I had joked that the age I was turning, one of the things I would get for it would be an AARP card. Well, damn it, that thing didn't show up in my mail, man. It did. I did get one of those in the mail, which is hilarious. I made fun of it, and I'm not even kidding. Like the next day, it's in the mailbox. I didn't ask for it. I didn't fill out anything to receive one. It's just the universe knows I'm this age. You get this. And I had to look up what AARP actually is because I really don't know. I know it's for old people, which I guess I am now, but I don't know what it means to be part of it and what this membership is. And basically, for those of you who don't know, who are maybe going to be that age soon, just be on a lookout for this. It's basically you join a membership and you get discounts on things. So because I'm an old guy now, I could walk into, I don't know, a restaurant or something like, hey, I've got an AARP card. Give me a discount, you know, like that kind of thing. So, yay. You know, that came in the mail. Wasn't expecting that. Another thing I was not expecting, and this is a horror story of my own, I got hacked on Instagram. My guy, Azariah, who was on the podcast here maybe like a month or so ago, we even talked about it on this show, how he got hacked and how he had to change his profile and had a hard time getting it back. And, you know, a couple days before I'm flying out to Seattle, you know, I wake up to all these weird messages on my phone from, you know, hey, I think you got hacked on Instagram or something. I got it back. Maybe some of you know. I mean, it was only within a day and a half of this problem. But I'll tell you what, man, there's nothing more stressful than getting hacked. I have had that Instagram account since 2016. Now, this is my personal one. This is not the podcast one. DJ Soundwave 75. You're more than welcome to follow me there. It's fine. But that one, I don't really do a lot of podcasts. I do podcast posts on there, but it's generally pictures of me and the little one and the wife and the stuff we do and things like that. So that one was really bothersome to have that happen, man. But I was able to get it back. There's some tricks you have to do through Instagram. You know, you don't get to talk to a live person. You got to go through all this stuff and you have to take like a visual 3D picture of myself to match up my pictures to prove it was me. You know, these hackers, they stole the email and then they changed the password so that you can't really change it and get it back. But I worked really hard at it, got it back. It's secure now. And let's just say I'm not going to follow anybody anymore that's just seems like they have good intentions. You're done. I think that's enough of that crap. This is BS, man. So Azariah, I feel your pain, and he was telling me about how hard it was for him. And the guest on the next episode, Piff Penny, been on the show a bunch of times. He actually called me. He's like, "Hey, man, what the heck happened to your account?" And we started talking. He's like, "You know, by the way, I got an album coming out." I'm like, all right, we'll do an episode then. So he'll be coming on the next episode. So getting hacked helped me, in a weird way, book the show, if that makes any sense. So salute to Azariah. I feel your pain, man. And thanks to Pip Penny. And that's a cool thing, man. Doing this podcast and having, an account online, it's like a small community, man. Everybody's looking out for you, and they know that this ain't right. I don't post stuff about Bentleys and crypto. That ain't me. So if you got that weird message, I apologize. By now, you probably have already moved on since it's been a couple weeks. But let's just say that one day that this happened, I was freaking out, and it was a horrible experience. So I don't put that on anybody. Nobody wants that in their life. That was just terrible. But I want to talk about my trip to Seattle, man. I've never been there. I think I mentioned in the last episode my fantasy was, or something I was actually reaching at a point, had to kind of pause it, was trying to go to every single baseball stadium. Baseball's my favorite sport. I've always wanted to do that. And I went to Seattle. I've never been to a Mariners game, so I said for my birthday I would like to go to a place I've never been and check out a baseball game. So on my actual birthday, April 12th, I went out to Seattle and had a fun time out there for a couple days. My wife and my daughter were with me, of course, and really cool city, man. It kind of felt like, if you're from Chicago, it felt like Navy Pier, but bigger. Like the city felt like Navy Pier. I'm not a seafood person, so obviously if you're into fish and stuff, that's for you. Me, I had a hard time finding food because I don't eat that stuff. Their downtown is really cool. A lot of nice buildings, very modern looking. The Space Needle is everything you've heard. It's really, really cool to go up there. There's 2 floors in it, even though it looks like it's only one. There's a top floor, which is all windows, so you feel like you're basically standing outside. It's pretty cool how they do that. And on the floor below it, it's rotating. It's like you're standing on top of a record, but moving very slowly, not 45 RPMs. But it's going really, really slow, and it's moving as you're standing there. So it's going in that full circle, and you could see everything. You see Mount Rainier, you could see the rest of the city, and you could see other aspects beyond Seattle, and there's a lot of mountains out there. Really cool. I mean, Space Needle is one of those touristy things to do, but I'm a tourist, so I want to do those things. So I showed up, and I can't say enough good things about that Space Needle. It's pretty cool out there. The Mariners Stadium was okay. It's kind of this big, giant thing. It doesn't have like I don't want to say like an old-timey feel like Wrigley or, maybe in Boston or places like that. It just felt very like a Rector set looking. T-Mobile Park is what it's called until they change it again. It used to be called Safeco Field, if I remember. But yeah, it's really cool. It's right next to the football stadium. They need to get their basketball team back. That's pretty crazy that the Supersonics aren't there anymore. But yeah, lots of coffee. So here's the thing. If you want to eat, it's not very easy. I think I've been spoiled living in Chicago. I'm used to like just going to anywhere to eat and not having a problem being hungry. In Seattle, it's a little bit different. Not as many restaurants, but there's a lot of coffee places. So everybody there is skinny, but they're on the move. So I think it's because they just drink coffee and they don't eat food. I don't know how you do that, but it seemed like there was a lot of coffee options, but not a lot of food options. So we had a hard time finding food, and you got a 5-year-old. It's not like you can eat whatever you want. You got to eat something that she will eat. So that throws a little wrench into things. But I definitely like my iced coffee. Went to the Starbucks Roastery, which was awesome. Definitely recommend that. I just found out they have one in Chicago. I don't even know. So we're going to have to go visit there to get that special coffee that is exclusive to the Roastery, which they also have in Chicago. So you need to seek it out. It's downtown, I think, on Michigan Avenue. So definitely got to check that out. But, the cool thing about Seattle, it's a walking city, and they have a monorail, and they have a light rail train. Takes you right from the airport. I like places to go where you don't have to get a car. And that's a cool thing about this city. It's very self-efficient. You do a lot of walking, but it's not excessive walking if you want to go from one thing to another. And if you're not into walking up and down hills, because a lot like San Francisco, the streets are on an incline. Some of them are, not all of them. But as you get close to the waterfront, yeah, it's all inclined streets. So your shoes better be correct. Your knees better be good. You go from like walking on flat land to like, oh shit, I got to go down. What's the craziest thing we saw there, and I knew about it beforehand, was the gum wall. There's a wall in his back alley where people have been putting gum on the wall for years. It's a thing, man. I mean, like, there's gum everywhere. Me and my daughter, we chewed some gum, put it on the wall. It's pretty gross. I wouldn't call myself a germaphobe, but I definitely don't like touching things that were in other people's mouth. So yeah, it's kind of hard to do that without touching gum that's been chewed. I guess you could wear gloves if you're like one of those people, or just don't go. But it was really cool to see. Somebody was having a bridal party there in front of the gum wall, which is crazy. They were filming something. Just a lot of fun stuff in Seattle, a lot of history there. I didn't hear one Nirvana song the whole time I was out there. I thought I was going to be just bombarded with Kurt Cobain and Chris Cornell music. I didn't hear any songs from them, so maybe next time. But definitely a thumbs up. One of my favorite cities I've been to. Definitely gets my endorsement. And the weather was great. No rain. It was a little bit chilly at times, but it was sunny. You know, you always hear about how it rains all the time there, and we didn't see any rain whatsoever. So big shout out to Seattle, one of my favorite cities I visited. I'll definitely think about going back there someday. There's a couple things I didn't get to do, but definitely go check it out if you get a chance. But that's it for the show here. Want to wrap it up. Happy Star Wars Day. Happy Free Comic Book Day. Got to go to my local comic book store, Comics Revolution, here in the downtown Mount Prospect area. Took my daughter, my nephew there, and it was just really cool to see my daughter wanting comic books. I mean, that just warms my heart, man. That's pretty cool. And May 4th is the Star Wars Day, as you all know, or some of you don't know or don't care. Happy Star Wars Day to you, May the 4th. And I want to give a big shout out to Nightmare Weekend in Chicago. Great convention. Had a lot of fun there. Saw a lot of cool things. Saw some cool cosplayers and some cool setups. They had a Chucky doll. They had a Megan doll. I still never seen Megan. I got to get on that. People dressed up as Michael and Jason walking around. I saw some Addams Family people walking around. There was a guy dressed up as the Crow. If you follow me online on social media, you'll see some of these pictures I posted. And once again, thanks to Sandy Johnson. I did get a picture with her as well. I posted that, and it'll be part of this episode when I do my promotions and all that. So definitely big thanks to Nightmare Weekend Chicago, GalaxyCon. Check them out, galaxycon.com. Follow this show on all platforms. Rate and review it. Go on YouTube. Type Infinite Banter for clips from past guests. Check out the Spotify playlist and the poll questions. And as always, check out our sponsor, super7.com/Infinite Banter Podcast. All right, that's it for me. This one's in the books. A little bit shorter episode. Some of you might like that. Some of you probably want that infinite banter to be a literal thing, and you want it to be long and be 2 hours long. There's a little bit of a break from that. But stay tuned. The next episode, I should have Pip Penny on to talk about his new album. But once again, big thanks to Sandy Johnson. Big thanks to Phil Garrett. Go check him out at crankeduptv.com and galaxycon.com. And make sure you check out Sandy at unicornsandyj.com. All right, that's it for me, the Infinite Banter Podcast. And until I do another one of these, I'm out.
Hey, asshole, get off the road.
Being on the Infinite Banner with my man Mark has been a pleasure.